Hey everybody, it's Bob Daigle. Welcome back to the Skookum Report. Happy New Year and happy holidays and Merry Christmas to everybody who is coming back to hear one of these Skookum Reports. I haven't put one out in a few weeks, so this one's pretty good and I hope you guys enjoy it. It's called The Alaskan Bridge, The Big Battle, the Kamchatka Russia Tale. This comes from Bobby Short's material. As always, I want to thank her friends and family for allowing me to narrate her stories on here on the Skookum Report. I appreciate it. Though the writing's kind of small in this one, I had to get my glasses, so bear with me for this one. Here we go. A quick background. Frank comes to see our band play all the time. We're good friends. He often tells me stories about Vietnam and his hunting trips, and I trust him completely. There ain't no telling what else he knows but won't talk about for various reasons. What follows is the text of his letter. Here goes. This fall, my ex-partners went back to Kamchatka. I didn't go this time. I was tied up. Not by a woman, unfortunately. I'll try to make this short. J.G. Wells, my main partner and the owner of the firm now, shot a huge old boar brown bear. It was not quite as tall or as long as my biggest Alaskan brown. Mine was 10 foot 4 inches and a half, and at 9 foot 10, but was immensely blocky, heavy, and muscular. Pictures taken right before the shot. Let's see, as it looked like a Abrams tank, M1A1 Abrams tank, I'm sorry. Like I said, this writing is small. With dark brown fur, obviously the king of the valley. They had tracked it on and off for about 4 days and had come across an interesting sight. An area near a creek choked with strawberry bushes that looked like it was the scene of an epic battle. It was rocky and gravelly, so not much in the way of the tracks, but it looked like two bulldozers had gone at each other. Saplings up to about 4 inches in diameter snapped like soda straws. Bushes were ripped up and scattered fur, etc. They were hot on this track and had to keep going. As they did, JG saw something curious. It was a large tree branch, 4.5 to 5 inches long, or 5 feet long, about 5 inches to 6 inches in diameter. At the big end, 4 feet or so at the smaller end. It obviously had been torn off a nearby tree. JG said he looked at it twice as they moved through the area because of the big end had blood and fur on it. He just assumed at the time one of the bears had slammed into it while fighting. The next day, when they caught up with the boar, he was bedded in a deep thicket. They circled and got into position at the edge of the small clearing just as the boar came out. He was moving very slowly and stiffly up the mountain. JG got him with 2 shots from his .416 Wrigley. Nothing dramatic, but JG is a real hunter and insists on helping with the skinning. That's when they got an additional surprise. The boar was really beat up, not fatally, but he was one sore battered bear and had some very unusual wounds from a bear fight. When they rolled him over to skin him, there were big areas on his chest and his stomach where the fur was pulled out with claw marks. JG said it looked like something had jumped on his back and had its arms around him, holding on to him quite tightly for a bit. They thought at first a Siberian tiger. That would be one hell of a fight at a 1,400-pound bear and a 750-pound cat, by the way. But the marks were wrong. A tiger wouldn't pull fur out. It can't clench its paws into fists, and the claw marks were wide and shallow. They were spread wide apart between the fingers, if you will. If you hold your hand out and spread your fingers, they spread pretty far apart. Another bears don't. Big brown bears such as mine have claws up to 4.5 to 5 inches long, but there are only 4 on the front paw. The fifth is a declaw up where our wrist joint is. There were 5 of these, one in an opposable thumb position. Opposable thumb, Frank underlined with a pen. In other words, marks that appeared to come from a very large pair of hands. Hands was underlined as well. What was just as weird when the huge hide was up... What was just as weird was when the huge hide was off up to the neck. There were several large bite marks on the bear's neck and shoulders. The curious thing is they were not as deep as you would expect them to be from a bear, and the teeth marks were more rounded or molar-like. But most strangely, the whole bite mark was very horseshoe-shaped, like this, and Frank drew a horseshoe shape, whereas a bear's bite mark is much longer and narrower, like this, and Frank was drawing a narrower mark. Pardon. Well, the long and short of it was one of the local guides gave the following account of what had happened. The other guides agreed and looked at the sign very closely at the site before moving on. The boss boar had come up to the creek into the wind and surprised a female. They used their word for Bigfoot in his berry patch and attacked. The big male Bigfoot jumped him from cover where he had been feeding. The guides say the big male was about 9 foot tall and 750 to 800 pounds and immensely strong. Well, duh, this is my surprised look, he says. Anyway, the fight was on. Horrific but brief. The female did not join in, but fled with her youngster. As soon as the female was safely out of danger, the male followed. He had inflicted some pretty severe bites to the bear, but the massively strong boar had got him off his back. The boar, they say, had inflicted a severe bite to probably the male's thigh and several nasty off-balance paw swats. If he was crushed. The local guides say that such encounters are rare but do happen, and when they surprise each other. And is that true? Who knows? But my buddy of 40 years has hunted all over the world and taken several other bears. He has skinned hundreds of animals, and JG has those wound marks. Said that those wound marks sure did not look like they came from another bear. And I trust his word on that. The one other weird thing was that JG said that the boar really stunk, especially on his back. Now, a bear in the wild, damp, soggy, and muddy, does not smell like lilacs in the spring or a freshly showered and powdered woman. Having carried quite a few bears out, I can attest and describe them as musty old throw rugs that have been laying on the earthen basement damp floor all winter. That's what I described the smell as. JG agreed, but said that this was different. He said that the bear's back smelled foul, like whatever was clinging there smelled bad, and possibly even urinated on the bear while fighting. He likened it to a cross between the weak old napalmed water buffalo I had hid behind a Nam for 3 days, he said, and the Wolverine stink was smelled in Alaska. Anyway, that's the story. No proof of any kind, but lots of interesting oddities. JG asked about tracking the family, but the guide said that there wasn't enough money in the world to get them to do something as foolish as track a mad, wounded, protective Bigfoot. Besides, they said, late in the fall they always went back from the coast to several super nasty hellhole little canyons and have natural hot springs and winter there. That's where they winter up. An interesting footnote, JG called today and told me the following item. He had called over to check on the status of some large salmon they had caught and left there to be mounted. Outfitters had told him that after they left, the season was over, and one guide rode one of the older Kawasaki snowmobiles back to the area to bring out some personal and camped items left. He parked the snowmobile on the ridge above the fight scene after picking up the things he had come for. He decided to go down to the little river and catch a few salmon. There was not much snow on the ridge, mostly ice, but much below, and he snowshoed down about half a mile, he says, and fished for about a half an hour. He caught about 4 salmon, climbed back out to discover his snow machine was gone. It had been picked up and shoved down the other side of the ridge, and it weighed almost 500 pounds. Fortunately for him, as he was 20 miles back in, it hung on a bush only about 20 feet down the ridge side. After some struggle, fueled by great desire to get the hell out of there, he got it back on its track, and he started it and got the hell out of there, and only mashed the windshield and cracked the hood a little bit. That's a subtle way of saying, go the hell away and leave us alone for the winter. That's signed Bill Lee of Boise, Idaho, on January 27th, 2006. I wouldn't be the want to get in the middle of that fight, I can tell you that much right now. That's about, 1,300 pounds of muscle flying and fur flying. Man, that had to be a sight to see. And if any of you have had a Bigfoot encounter or a sighting or anything interesting happen, and you want me to have it on the show here for you, I can narrate it for you. You write me an email at skookumreport@gmail.com. That's skookumreport@gmail.com. And I'll be happy to get it on the show for you. It's not a problem at all. I want to thank everybody for their support over the holidays. Big Mike, I spoke with him. He's doing well. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to everybody listening. In 2022, we're going to get it started off right. And I love you guys. Take care and bye.